Hello, hello. How is everyone today? Please let me know over in the comments as you join if you can hear me, and if you can see that cool little sprinkle picture, then we will know everything is working well. I've dropped a lot of links in for you this morning at the top of the page. There's a link directly. If you're on Facebook, it'll be a live link. There is a link directly to the free supply list. There is a link to the royal icing transfer sheets. They're not a necessity today, honestly. If you would like to pipe directly on the cookies for the things that we're going to do this morning and this evening, you will be able to do that. So if you don't want those today, they're not necessary. I just always like to have something for you guys to have because you've been so generous with donations. I hate for you to donate and then not receive anything. So I always try to put something up for you so that if you're making a donation, you're getting something. I just like that. Let's see. So I dropped a link in for our YouTube page. I think with all the Facebook updates that are going on right now, it might be really helpful if you went ahead and liked that YouTube page just in case something goes wrong with updates on Facebook over the next little bit. I dropped a link in for the Shea Bee cutters to take you straight to the cookie cutter section. Then you can search for flamingos, toucan, and palm trees to get the cutters that we went over yesterday. Let me say hello to a few people. Hi, Kathy. How are you today? Awesome. Glad you can see and hear me. Hey, Jennifer. How are you? Awesome. Hey, Robin. Glad you made it too. Hi, Rebecca. Very nice. Okay, let's see what this says. Nice to make a live again. Oh, I wish my life was a whirlwind because of a vacation, but I just overbooked myself all week. Get that box open of Tinker Dust because you're going to love that. You are going to love it, Bobby. Hello, Myra. How are you? Hi, Debbie. Thank you guys so much for popping in with me on a Wednesday. I had a scheduling conflict yesterday evening, so I did a little bit of prep in the morning to let you know what was going on, but then I knew I was not going to be able to get back on again, most likely, and it was a late evening, so I didn't get to come on with you at all last night. All right, before I take this off, since it's the beginning of the video, just trying to make sure everybody gets notices. If you will text the word live stream to the phone number of 540-870-0726. That will get you on our text alert. And then you'll get notices whenever we go live for the free tutorials. Hi, everybody. How are you? Let me pop back over here, see how many comments we have going. Oh, hello, hello. How are you today? I hope everyone is doing well. So yesterday I popped on and I showed you the bonus cutters that I had talked about early when we started the Tiki set so that you would have some smaller cookies that you could work in. Hello, hello. Hi, Kelly. Awesome. We're waiting on a CT scan. Well, I hope this is going to make it more fun for you. Hi, Carol. Hey, Michelle. Let's see. What was I telling you? Oh, so the bonus cutters, they're not part of the cutters that come from Dots and Bows. And in fact, today, if you download the free supply list, what I did for you was I actually put this set on here, which is Ann Clark, because some people really just like metal cutters. So I put the flamingo on there. It's also got a pineapple in there, which we're going to be doing, a palm tree. The only thing that's not in this tropical set right here is going to be that little toucan bird. But probably if you've been cooking for a while, you already have one of those. So if you click on this link, it's going to take you to the metal Ann Clark, and you can just amend everything slightly that we're doing today to make them fit this cutter. But this is from Shea Bee. There's a link at the top if you're on Facebook that'll take you right into the cookie cutter section of the Shea Bee website. And I got this cute little, remember I wanted the cartoony one because I'm working it into a baby shower. So I got this one, and then I got the one, just type the word flamingo, they'll both come up. I got the flamingo head that has the flowers at the top. Then I also got the toucan came from them that we're going to work on. This one is probably going to be tonight. There's a pineapple in our dots and bows set, which is on any of the previous supply lists, or if you order this Ann Clark, you can use this one for the pineapple. And then there's 2 palm trees that I showed in the video yesterday. Hey, Sally, I'm so glad you could make it. Jen, can you check again? Because I did share it into the group. Give me just a second, guys. If you don't mind, let me just look real quick because I know people expect alerts from over there too. I just want to make sure that it is actually in that group before we go too far. Let me see if I see it again. I definitely shared it in there and I got an alert that it was there. So let's see what's happening. Okay, no, we're there. We're there. It's under new activity. Okay, good. All right, so that is your rundown on your supplies. You'll probably, though, if you're getting into doing the royal icing transfers with me, have a 104 tip handy because that's how we're going to make our little flamingo wings, similar to what we did at Easter time. And airbrush colors, additional airbrush colors. It doesn't have to be Chef Master, but for this evening when we come back on at 7 p.m., we're going to do a little bit of airbrushing to add some dimension to our flamingo and to and the yellow is just so you'll be ready for if we get to the pineapple. So for sure, I'm going to do the 2 flamingos this morning, bits of them, and then do bits on the toucan, show you how to do the royal icing transfers. Then tonight, we're going to come back and finish up all of the birds. Hey, Miss Becky, how are you today? Thank y'all for joining me today. I know it's an off day for us. So, and also if you have any pink sanding sugar, I listed the raspberry because I think the color is so cool on this. It is very different from hot pink sanding sugar and light pink. I really like this raspberry color, so I listed that for you so we can do a little glitz on our wings, I was thinking, so that we would meet that shiny stipulation going on there. So anyway, that is your supply list. I also had a request yesterday if I could show somebody. In the video yesterday, I was talking about how to do one consistency icing that you can outline and flood in. So I saved one color to bag here at the end. This is my darker pink that we're going to use on the flamingos. So this bowl, you guys, super handy. Do you see how it's curved? It fits perfect for you to get a good handle on it when you're stirring. Let's see, someone, hello, all you beautiful cookie people. Hey, Jen, are you the one that said, hey, what do you say? Because that gets stuck in my head every time we go live. I think it was you. So anyway, someone asked yesterday, what consistency icing, what would it look like? So I thought this would be the easiest way, is just to wait and bag one. This is about an 18-second consistency. But really, you guys, as you do make more and more icing, it's more about the feel and the visual look of the icing. This has a shine to it, but it's not like sopping wet. Does that make sense? And you see this, if I pull up, how I get, let me just see if I can do it on the camera there. See, when I pull up, I get a peak, but it immediately falls over. And can you see, without me doing anything to the icing, it's trying to reincorporate itself. So with just a little bit of effort, do you see it goes perfectly smooth? So if you want to do an outline and flood, this is really what I find best if you're going to use one consistency to do everything. And I prefer this consistency because I have a lot less trouble with cratering when I work with this. If I make a lot thinner flood, yes, it goes faster, levels out faster, but I have a lot more trouble with cratering when I do that. So it's just not really something I do anymore. I make this one consistency for outline and flood. So let me just show you again. You see how just a little bit of jiggling it, the manipulation, and you can see it all totally smooths out. So also they asked me to tell them about my dollar store find. I bought these dollar store champagne glasses. The reason I bought them, you don't have to use this. You can use whatever you're already using. The reason I bought them is because if I use my medium size, let me just show you I don't want to make too much noise on camera, so I had that already loaded. I use Bee's Baked Art bags most of the time. These are seamless, tipless bags, so you don't have to use tips with them. They have a little bit of a grip to them, and that is because I have trouble with my hand from icing so many cupcakes. Hey, Sammy, how are you doing? Rebecca, counts on the icing. I would say 18 to 20 is what I'm using for outline and flood. So when I use these bags, what I found was they'll hold a lot more icing than what I put into them. And the reason that I started using the champagne glass was because I could do I actually started using it initially for my DIY kit so that I would take an ice cream scoop, so many ounces, and I'd put that right into here so that everything was measured and even, and I could calculate how much I needed to make up ahead of time for my DIY kits. So, anyway, what I found was whenever I taught my classes or did the DIYs, did a video for the DIYs, I'd actually use the same kit that everybody else was using. So what I realized was it was much, much less strain on my hand to use these smaller bags. And they're so inexpensive, these Bees Baked Dart bags. I think they're like, I don't know, 4 or 5 cents a piece, if that. I guess it just depends on how many you buy at a time. So when I realized that that was helpful, I just started bagging all of my icing that way. So basically, let's see, hold on one sec. Let me flip this to the next thing. I didn't realize I hadn't taken it off. Okay, so 18 to 20, we got Rebecca there. Let's see, Kathy, how much do those cost? Can you tell me what you're asking about? Icing, I can't tell you. The bags, they're on the Bees Baked Dart site, or I've got a link on Amazon for some that are really similar price. So just let us know and we'll answer that question. So what I found was this was much easier because I get a lot of strain in my hand right here, especially if I have a week where I'm doing a lot of cakes, a lot of cupcakes. I have to make kits for my in-town class or making DIY cookie kits to sell to locals. So this just became the easiest way. So this size bag, which, I have a large hand, but it's about the length of my hand. This is the perfect size for me to pipe with. And I don't mind the little bit of extra expense from having to use more bags because it's easier for me to do this than to try to balance the weight on this back part of my hand and use a smaller area. So there is your little helpful tip on the icing. And I think the person that asked me is on here. So hopefully that will help. One more quick review. I always cut my bags to be equivalent to about a 2. Yeah, Jen, that's right. If she's asking about bags, that's true right there. Bags are about 3.5 to 4 cents, depending on the size and how many you get, if that was the question. But Kathy, if you were asking about something else, let us know. I guess what I have. Yes, to your hand. I think it really will because I don't have a lot of problems anymore. I had lots of problems the first 6 months, and that was right around when I started doing the DIY kits, was 6 months into the cookie part. So it's helped me tremendously. It's very rare at this point that I get a strain on my hand. So back to the bags, I usually turn it seam up, flatten it out, cut straight across. The reason I do that seam up is just because there is a seam there. And what I found over time is that if I cut it with the seam up, flatten and cut it, I tend to get more of a circular cut. So it more mimics an actual piping tip. So I tend to cut mine at about a number 2 piping tip. So you can see that there. Okay, so there's your handy icing and bag tips for today. We're going to jump right in on one of these cutesy little flamingos. Isn't he so sweet? I love it. Okay, so yesterday when I sketched these guys, and I'm going to try to get through the 2 flamingos, and then we'll stop for the morning video, and we'll start again this evening, okay? But last night when I sketched, where's the one I sketched? Okay, so remember, if you watched the one that I sketched yesterday morning, I didn't like how his legs looked. I was mimicking the picture that they had on the site, but although I wanted it to look cartoony, I did not want it to look inappropriate to what it should read as when you're looking at it. You should think, oh, that's a flamingo. You should come back to how cute the cookie is and how great the piping is and how fun the candy is that's on there or the sparkle, but you should not in your mind be triggering something that goes, hey, those legs don't look right. Right. So I just went ahead and redid my legs a little. So, the flamingo legs, actually, they bend backwards. Right. So you can either come straight down and make a foothold here, or you can bend them backwards. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there, but I wanted to show that to you versus what we were going to do, which was more like the sketch. Right. Jen, thank you for dropping that in there. That is the medium bag, Becky. I use the medium bags from Bees Baked Dart. But honestly, if you're going to do I got another size in that came in one of my subscription boxes. It came from Cookie Countess, and it's these little small ones. When I order again from Bees, I'm going to order the small icing bags too, because that's the same size as this size. And I think they have a price break when you do a certain amount of shipping or whatever. So whenever I reorder those, because I put those in my class kits, I'll be ordering that small size too, because that's the perfect size bag for the pressure icing. And you guys know we've been doing a lot of pressure piping, both on our cookies and on our royal icing transfer since we started the Tiki Hot series. So I know for sure I'm going to be working on that. I'm going to be getting the smaller bags too to use for my thicker icing, because that will help a lot too. Let me show you what's actually in your templates today. So these are all for the flamingo, but really you can use them for any bird. But I just want to show you what I did. One person told me, I guess I made a template at the beginning. He does look like he's dancing, doesn't he? That's so funny, but he does. He does. So at the beginning, I don't remember what I made, but I only gave you one template for whatever it was, and you wanted it facing another direction. And I didn't realize that, I guess when these are PDFs, unless you guys are printing on really thin paper where you can literally just turn the paper over and see through it. Apparently there are many of us that are tech challenged, and it's not easy for you to flip the template. Like, I thought you could just get on there and put it in a program and flip it, but apparently it's not that easy. So today what I did for you, you actually have 4 flamingo wings. You have a right where it's dipping down. You have one that's right where it's swooping up. You have a left that's drooping down, and you have a left that's swinging up. And the reason why is because I'm going to show you how to use that 104 tip to make those cool wings like what we did back at Easter time. And so this one, for instance, maybe you want to put this one's wing following this and have it swoop down. So it's sized to do that if you want. But the thing the lady that talked to me about was it was difficult for her to visualize it unless I already had it done up. So that's why you have 4. You don't need all 4. This is for the people that want to go a little extra like me, and maybe you want to flip your flamingos, right? So when you're punching them out, you're planning already for right-handed and left-handed. So I just wanted you to already have it done so that you don't have to take any time to do it, to have a wing that comes down or a wing that goes up, and to have it for a right-facing or left-facing flamingo. You also can use that template to make the wings that's sized properly to make a royal icing transfer wing for your toucan guy. So on that one, I would use the one swinging up. I wouldn't use the ones that swing down, because we'll go back and add a little bit of piping in this area when we attach that. But you can also use it for the toucan. But that's why you have 4. And that's why I made the price a little bit lower, because it's not like it's 4 separate, totally different kinds of flowers or something, but that's why. So for the toucan, I gave you something in case you want to get a jump start on making his beak. This is sized for the toucan from Shea Bee. You can adjust it if you need to, but I took one, and just to make sure that that it's absolutely right, because to me, when I looked at it, it looked like it was too big. But if I cut one of these out, laid it on, if you have it where it's supposed to be, because remember, it's very exaggerated. These beaks come back on the face a little bit. This is actually the right size. So if you want to do your toucan this direction, maybe you want to do another one this direction, you have a template for each of the directions. Now, I would caution you, I put color on here to give you an idea of what I was talking about how to split it up. You could actually just do rainbow stripes if you want. You could do the top one color, the bottom one color. There's so many ways to do it. You don't have to use these exact colors. This was just an example for you, because I know I'm going to be using hot pink, blue, and this neon yellow. And I know I'm going to be using black for the tip, but you can mix this up however you want, and you can match it to however you decide to do the actual toucan, right? So if you want to put a yellow breastplate on the bird, you can. If you want to have yellow highlights over the black for the feathers at the bottom. I'm thinking tonight when we do the toucan, when we do the final one, because I'm going to do this with pressure piping, I think I'm going to give him 3 different tail feathers. I think we're going to do multiple colors down here to tie into a really bright beak. So we may not do him at all this morning. But we definitely are going to get through the 2 flamingos since I couldn't get back on last night. And I did get home before midnight. I just absolutely had no more energy. So I hope you guys will forgive me for that. But I just couldn't do it. And then I thought, well, if I get on there and I'm just, stuttering all over the place, no one's going to come back for the rest of the video. Oh yeah, Nadine, Jen, what a good idea. Pink and purple with glitter. And did I see Nadine on here? I don't know if she's on here. Well, you guys, let's jump in on this. So, Jen, will you type in a minute marker of 20 minutes for me, please? And then I'm going to talk you through what I'm doing on my flamingo, but you guys are not limited to this, right? If you've done other flamingos and you want to do it differently, go for it. If you watched yesterday morning's video, you're going to know about the sketching. So I'm just going to jump in and start putting some color down because I want to pop these into the dehydrator and go through using the 104 tip to make your royal icing transfer wings. Hey, Nadine, I thought I saw your name, but then I didn't. I clicked on something that said Jen. So I just want to make sure you made it. It's good to see you today too. So we're going to get some icing down on this, pop these in the dehydrator. Then we're going to go ahead and do our wings. And that way you guys can print those templates out. If you decide that you do want to use those, or maybe you have, I'm definitely not Wonder Woman anymore. Literally when I was younger, people used to say that and I never quit, but like I need at least 4 hours of sleep now. So it is a little trickier. All right, so let's talk through this. This is the thing you're going to want to do so you get more bang for your buck, a little more pow in your design. Let's look at just this flamingo, okay? And we have to plan before we start putting icing down. So these are the 2 wings that you could use. I think I'm going to do this upturn. I have no idea why, but I look at this and for some reason, this one makes me think of, I guess because it's turned upward, it looks like it's smiling. So I'm going to use this one on all of mine, but I know that the more natural positioning on a flamingo is this. So if you want to use this, great, you do it. I'm going to use a happy one, okay? So this is the one we're going to pipe, but that's not really what I wanted to talk to you about. What I want to talk to you about is colors. I definitely want to split my flamingo up. So I'm using a light pink and a dark pink. And then because I want to go back wherever I put the light pink, whichever side I make the light pink, I want to go back and do a little airbrushing and a darker pink along the edge because it's going to really make that bird look fantastic. So when you're deciding, like this was our dividing line for one color, and then the other color was supposed to go here, and we're going to go back and by hand, we're going to dry on the little closed eye. So whatever you do as the undercolor, probably best to do the opposite of your 2 icings as your upper color. So what do I mean? If you do this in dark pink, you're probably going to want to make your royal icing transfer in light pink so that this light pink and this light pink go together. Now, the other option is if you do this in light pink and do the breast part and the face in hot pink, you can do this as a hot pink and then use your raspberry sugar. So decide about what things you want to use. Also, I didn't put it on this supply list, but it's been on several of your other supply lists. I have Candy Kiss from Diamond Dust from Sugar Art. So I will be, and I also have a really pretty pink from Bakewell. So I'm going to do it 2 different ways, but I'm going to put the Diamond Dust on one of the wings. I'm going to leave one of the wings natural just to let it dry so you can see what that looks like. And then I'm going to do a 3rd wing where I do the sugar and some Diamond Dust. Okay. So that way you guys can see. So if you're not actually working along with me today, when we come back on tonight, you'll be able to see it before you plan yours. So it just helps you guys a little bit, right? All right, so let's jump in. I really think I want to use that sugar. So I'm going to do this section light pink on this little guy so that my top wing can be dark pink. And up here, remember I said I just wanted to give him some hair. I am going to give him some tuffets of hair or her, whatever you want to call her. But I'm not going to do that until this base coat is dry. So when I'm using my toothpaste or 30-second consistency icing to do the transfer in a little bit, hopefully this will be crusted enough that I can do some little spiky hair because you know what? Flamingo doesn't want some spiky feathers on the top of their head. All right, so I've just basically done an outline. I'm not going through everything that we normally talk about outlining, because I feel like if you're on here, you probably know that. But if not, drop me a question. Oh, Jen, I see your comment about wafer paper. So you could actually do wafer paper wings. You would just use a teardrop shaped punch. Do your wafer paper ahead of time, spray paint both sides of it carefully, light layer so it doesn't curl, let it dry, and then use a teardrop shaped punch, probably the 1-inch teardrop. And then you can layer it up kind of like we would do if we were using the wafer paper to create mermaid scales. You could layer up your wing if you use the smaller teardrop. So previous live stream, wherever we used that punch that had the teardrop shapes and it had 3 sizes on it, it's on that supply list. That's the one I would use, and that way you could layer it up. But how cute would that be? And then you could already have it, you could have it airbrushed, you could have it dried, have it punched out, pop, 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 your wing is done. So you just made the cookie even faster, but still looks really fancy, right? Because your time was in your prep, which is the case on most of these things. All right, so let's just jump over, and we're going to the only other thing we're going to fill in right now, well, we're going to go ahead and do the black on his beak too, because I'm not using a transfer for this beak, but let's go ahead and fill in this dark pink. I'm right-handed, so I'm just shooting the icing towards the pink. I'm not waiting for it to crust because truthfully, I don't really want a lot of definition between the two. I just want to use 2 colors. So it's not going to bother me if it doesn't completely level out between the 2 colors. Because honestly, people are going to look at that and think you did it on purpose. But if it does level out, that's not going to bother me either, because I'm not technically going for a separated dimensional look in the colors. I just want 2 colors. I think I've done these a lot before where you can do the whole thing in hot pink, the whole thing in light pink. Just this one little extra step adds a lot to the cookie and honestly doesn't take any more time, right? I mean, maybe the time of mixing up the initial bag of icing, but other than that, it's the same amount of time. I tell you what, by the time we get done tonight and I do another 1 or 2 videos today, I probably won't even have a voice left. All right, so let's give this a little jiggle with the scribe. I want to pull it over to the edge just a little bit. Now, if you're doing this later, you're not decorating with me, you could have gone ahead and prepared your wings, and if they were totally dry, you could drop your wing in right now onto this wet icing so that it sinks in a little bit and adheres to it. You'd be done. The only thing that I'm increasing is when I go to attach my wing later tonight when we come back together, the only thing I'm actually increasing is I'm going to have to add a little royal icing to the back. So you just take that into account however you want to do that. And I'm probably, for this next step, this is not outline and flood. It's a little thicker than that. It's not quite to toothpaste. But I find with my black, the thicker it is, the less trouble I have with color bleed. So I made it a little thicker. I'm acknowledging that, you know, I always talk to you about not picking up your scribe too many times if you're actually making these for profit. But I find that what I save in time by doing this step with this black icing, which by the way, has been developing for over a week. It was frozen. And it's Sugar Art Master Elite Black for this because it's my favorite black. You can see how deep that black is. I mean, that's truly black. It's not a black gray. It's not something else. It's definitely black, coal black, really. So I think I shared with you in the earlier video that I tend to make extra when I make red, when I make a dark red or an emerald green or black or a royal blue or a navy blue, burgundy, those colors, when I make them, I always make more than I need. And then after those colors are developed in bag, I just pop them in, I double bag them actually in Ziploc freezer bags, pop them into the freezer so that they're already ready when I need them for the next order. And so then basically I use that stock. When I use that stock, I replace it with more so that it's ready for the next order, because these are very difficult colors. What I just described to you, they're very difficult colors to get. If you, hold on, I'm going to pop this question up here because this is a good point too. I want to talk to you about that. It's it's better to use already developed colors. So do you seem to have less color bleed with this black? And this black, Bobby, you mean the Sugar Art Powder Master Elite versus a gel color? Here's the thing on that. Gel color seems like it separates a little bit more if you've ever let your icing sit out for a few days. When I first started doing cookies, people told me to mix up the icing, just let it be out in a cool room for a day or two, or pop it in the fridge. And then once my color got to where it would be, you know how in the bottom that extra liquid and gel color sinks to the bottom? They would say, just take off the icing, put it into a different bowl, and just pour out that liquid. Don't mix it back in. If it's the right consistency, and you don't need it, you know, if it's not gotten too thick on you, then just take the icing off and pour that other out, because that's oversaturation. But that really never made a difference for me. People said to do that, but that didn't work for me. What was really important to me, though, is I don't do a lot of solid black cookies because of what happens. And I knew this from cake decorating and doing cupcakes and other baking, but I don't use highly saturated colors as the main color on anything, or I don't recommend it to the customers, because it's going to stain their teeth and tongues and lips. And most of the things I do are for parties, celebrations, birthday parties, you know, weddings, that kind of stuff. So early on, I had to start making sure that I explained that to people. So my guess is yes, you get less color bleed if you're using the powder than the gel, but having seen it both ways, you're still going to get that settling of the extra liquid when you let your icing sit for a few days. And if your icing itself has developed to a dark enough color, you don't need to mix that extra back in there, right? Let's see. I'm a bit new to strong colors. Let's talk about this real quick. You let your color develop an airtight container on the counter for a week. No, I don't. I typically, first of all, my store is kept at like 68 degrees. Refrigerators are supposed to be 40. That's all United States numbers. I will leave my icing out on the counter for not more than 2 days in a room that's 68 degrees. And that is if I'm doing blacks, reds, emerald green, the really strong colors. Then I will either mix more in, bag it, and get it into the fridge or freezer, or I'll pour off that extra that's settled out and bag the color and then go from there. But I make my strong colors much ahead of time, and I tend to have anywhere from 3 to 6 bags of these dark colors in the freezer at any given time. But I go through them really fast. So you're going to have to look at that too. Like if you're never going to use 6 bags of black icing in 4 months, I've never had icing in the freezer longer than 4 months. And that was just like a random fluke color, because normally it's out of my freezer within 3 weeks. It's just constantly rotating. But you look at that, see what your schedule's like, see how much you make. I'm, of course, telling you ways to just make it more profitable and to get to your colors faster. But the main thing about this is once it's been developed like that, I have a lot less trouble piping with a thicker black. I have a lot less trouble with color bleed when I'm piping a thicker black than when I do a flood consistency black. I don't know why. I'm assuming it has to do with the amount of water content, or the water pieces that are in there, like, you know, because technically even your cornstarch is a liquid, right? So those things all separate, but I just have over time found I have less trouble with that. So if it's a small area and I know I can manipulate it real quick, I go with a thicker icing. So I hope that helps somebody. All right, so we're going to come back to this one. Let me move this over and look at it. I'm afraid to move it because it's so nice and smooth. It's not cratering. But you know what? Just so that we don't take any chances, let's turn this dehydrator on. It's right behind me. I have a Sasori. If anybody needs a link for that, I'm happy to provide you with it because I love this thing. Total game changer if you're going to do mass cookie production is to have a few of those. I keep mine set at 105. The cookies go in for maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. I usually don't leave them in there longer than that. And that crusts the top, so I don't have to worry about it collapsing on me. Okay, so let's do this one. All right. So on this one, looking at it, we're going to add the pieces that we've already made for the other pieces of the Tiki Hot series. So we're going to be adding, for the floral part, we're going to be adding some bits and pieces up there. So before we get started, I'm just going to reach over here to all the cool things that I made ahead of time. And I'm going to pull a few things out. I think she'll be so cute with one of our hibiscus flowers. So if we're going to do that, we're going to need a few of the hibiscus leaves, right? So let's just pull a few of those out. I think it would also be super cute to give her like a feather because she looks sassy, right? So let's give her a cute little feather that I made out of marshmallow fondant. And then in those molds that I put on the supply list last week, and I think I left them on there for this week, there's little plumeria flowers in there. So I'm going to pull a few of the little fondant plumeria flowers. We'll do maybe 2 whites and a pink. There's going to be a lot of pink on here. So maybe we'll keep the 3 whites, right? Because the flamingos choose shades of pink. So let's pull those out. Have I used the dehydrator for glaze? I have not, Rebecca, but Cameo would be the person to ask that question too. You know, and I don't know if I've ever heard her mention whether she has a dehydrator or not. But if you, I know you're in that group. So if you don't get a hold of her, I will message her and tell you tonight when I come back on. All right. So the other thing I want to put on here, how about, oh, how cute. Remember a couple supply lists back, we went over the little leaves that I made with the punch that we used back when we did the daisies for Mother's Day. So how about we tuck a few of those in there too, just so we can go, you know, use all these different mediums. So Cameo does not use a dehydrator. So next time I get to chat with her, I will ask her why not, and I'll bring that information back to the group because I know a lot of us work royal and glaze, but on the places that I use glaze, it's more like when I want to do texture mats, like, right, to make a sweater texture or something like that. So I've never used it for that because there wasn't really any purpose to use it for that because you need it to set a certain amount of time before you can do the impression mats. So I haven't tried it. Doesn't mean it doesn't work for people. It just means I haven't done it yet. Oh, and how about another little sassy feather? Do y'all like that feather? So cute, right? All right. So now we know we're not going to get all of this on there. By the way, we've just pulled out everything we might want to use. I like to work that direction rather than not having enough at my fingertips when everything is wet. But, you know, I got to get that glitter on there. Look at that. Isn't that so cute? Okay, so let's do this one. Now, looking at that and looking at the fact that we're using these 2 icing colors, and we're going to want this to be up here. I'm going to do this back area in the light pink because that flower is more likely going to be anchored back here, and that'll give me a dark on top of a light. So just thinking through to what it's going to look like when I put it together. So I'm going to just give us a shot here. And that big circle that I'm covering up right now, guys, don't forget that's not an eyeball. Oh, and let me show you that. Did you guys see what I just did? Someone asked me about this last week too. How can I get those nice crossover areas? Let me show you how to do this. So they asked me how I always get these nice crossover areas without picking up my scribe. This is it. This is the best thing you're probably going to learn today. Well, I don't know, maybe all of it's fun for you, but I like time-saving tips and ways to make things look crisper. So, okay, watch on camera. I'm going to go at it from the side, okay? When you have these indentation areas, instead of starting, stopping, or using your scribe to pull the icing back up, if you just come down to where you're going to be, go past where the indentation stops and make a loop-de-loop, very fancy term, cross back over. That's how you get that nice intersection, and you won't have to go back and do anything to that. So every time you have one of those, that's how you can stay close to the edge of the cookie, but you're not going to have to go back and pick up your scribe. Now I'm stopping there because remember, we're putting all flowers up here. So I don't want to do that in pink. I want to do that in green so that if anything does show through where I put my leaves on. Yeah, Jen, let me put that on the screen so it stays in the video. That is officially now known as the loop-de-loop. So funny. I know I have all these great names for things, but you know, you got to know when you're decorating at midnight, you're probably hearing my voice go, wait, do the loop-de-loop. That'll solve your problem. So anyway, I'm just going to do the pink below that because I know above that is where we're going to put the wreath. And remember, that's not the eyeball. That's where we're going to blush the cheek later. We're making all these with a wink so they look like little sleepy babies. That's when the babies are the best, right? When they're all napped out and you can just watch them and they're all sweet and cute and they're not screaming or eating or throwing things or doing other bodily functions, right? I know you know what I mean. Let's see. So let's fill this in. And I am not going all the way around the outside and flooding to the center because it's a large cookie, and my icing's a little bit on the thicker side since I'm doing outline and flood consistency. So I tend to work top to bottom or left to right or right to left, but that way that gives the icing a better chance of healing, self-healing, without me having to then pick up my scribe and do the jiggle or the shake. See, it's already all settled down. Do you see how quick that went? Okay. Bobby, was that the loop-de-loop tip or the silent baby tip? All right, so let's give this a little turn. I'm turning it because I'm right-handed. You turn it the other way if you're left-handed. It just makes it a little easier since I'm not going for differentiation between my two colors by letting it crust up. Again, if you do want that, do that. But if you don't need it, then it's easier to just to shoot your icing over towards it and let it go ahead and self-heal. But, oh, did it again. Hold on, you need to see it in action. Here we go. Then you get the nice crisp turn there. Same thing here at the throat. There we go. I can tell this bag is a little thicker. I'm having to put a little more pressure on it to pipe it. But you see how that's already healing? So let's get the area iced next to the other color first, so it has a good chance of healing on its own without me having to pick up a scribe and jiggle it or shake it or anything. Let's go ahead and do that. And someone else asked last week why they were tending to get a lot of dips or valleys in their cookie. There was two things on their cookies. I meant to tell you this. Yeah, loop-de-loop wins because I hate taking the time to tuck all that in too. But look how clean that is, you see? And it's already healing. It's self-healing with the other color. I've got nice borders in there. The other thing you could do on this cookie, guys, if you wanted to take the time to do it, right here on that, if you want to outline that section with the dark pink, that would be really cute too. A lot of people don't like to put the detail on the top of the color in a secondary color because it could break off in the bag. So depending on, you know, how that goes for you, that's another tip. You could outline in the dark pink, then go back and flood in the light pink. That way you'll have that line so it looks like a line drawing. And that's really pretty too. And it also ties your colors together really well. So let's go ahead and get the black on for the beak. Because even though I'm going to add color to these beaks, you definitely have to have that little bit of black. I mean, that's really a flamingo thing, right? It's not going to look, it may look like a flamingo, but it's not going to have instant recognition that that's the specific bird. If any of your other details are off and people can't really tell what it is, this is a dead giveaway that you've got a flamingo with this beak. All right, so let's leave that like that. Now, I do not want to risk messing up how beautiful the pink icing settled down, okay? So, hey, Cynthia, I'm glad you made it. I'm going to pop this in the dehydrator, okay? Because I could, technically, I could probably go right here and do the green and start adding the bits on. But then the cookie's going to be very heavy, and I don't want to risk getting those little fracture lines in my pink icing because it's just perfect today. You know, on the days where the icing is perfect, you go way out of your way. Let me make sure that still looks okay. Yeah, that looks fine. No craters. You go way out of your way to make sure everything stays nice looking when you've got it, when the icing's just right. All right, so how about this? For the rest of this video, we're going to take maybe another 5 minutes or so. Oh, by the way, have you guys noticed that I usually put down 2 paper towels on the area I'm working on? And that's so, I don't know if you can see this, but off in the corner here, I'm using that, and I go underneath with the bag when I need to purge the dehydrators. On the invisible camera it is. So well, one day, guys, I'll be in my new cookie studio that's being worked on now, and then I won't have a virtual wall behind me with my sprinkle wall. It'll be my real sprinkle wall, so you can see This is funny. So you'll be able to see my all my pieces around me, so that you know when I'm saying I lose things in a 3-foot area, one day you will really understand how easy that is to do. So anyway, it's just easy for cleanup if I'm using that all on this paper towel, because the royal icing dries so fast. If you're taking a towel on and off camera to do it, or right there in your work area, you run the risk of those little dried bits falling into a cookie that you just iced. So I just really don't do that anymore. I keep it all over in this corner, because then I have this whole area to work in. All right, we're going to save all these bits for tonight that we picked out, okay? But let's take a look at the smiley wing. Let's fold this over again. Move this out of the way because we don't need any of this right now. And I don't want to lose her little sassy feathers because they're too stinking cute. So cute. All right, so I already went ahead and took a 104 tip, and I have loaded it into my bag. And I do that so that if I want to change colors, like if I wanted to make some white wings, or I wanted to make a black wing for the toucan, I can just keep using this same tip by changing out the inner bag. So my thick pink is isn't that what we decided we were going to make the wings in? And then we're going to use, and then we're going to use the sugar. So this is my thick pink. This is can you see like how thick this is? It's literally like toothpaste. Okay. So I'm going to slide that in. It's been cut so that it'll fit in here, but not block the end of the tip, the 104. And I listed the 104 for you there. They're not brand specific. Get whatever brand you want, or use the one you have. I just happen to have tons of the 104 tips because of the cupcakes. Let's see. Oh, guys, you could really help me out too if you would make sure you find our YouTube site. And my sister likes for me to do this, so in case she watches this video tonight, I'll do this for now, but I'm going to start working it in a clip. But if you want to smash that subscribe button, that would be awesome. I would really appreciate it. And then if you would like to, if you want to keep doing all things cookie with me, we have a lot of guests. I don't want you to miss out on this, which is why, hey, Heather, how are you? I don't want you to miss out on this. So please make sure that you follow the link. Jen, I don't know. I think I dropped it in, but if I didn't, if you'll drop it in, please go like the Cookie Snack Attack group, because we're going to have guests next month. Possibly 1 or 2 by the end of this month. We'll be able to work it into their schedules, but we're going to have some guests to come talk about products. Just different things are going to be going on. So make sure you like that group, because those will probably all be in that group just for the group members. That's my thought right now. It'll go there into YouTube. Okay, so let's come and talk about these. Again, I'm right-handed, which is the reason I'm working in this direction. I've got the 104. I have the large end of the teardrop facing towards me. I'm going to show you this both ways. So I have the large end facing towards me, thin end away from me. And I'm going to start here, and I'm going to be working. I'm just going to make my swoops. Can you see what I'm doing? Because I just want a really pretty flamingo wing. Isn't that cute? Let me lift it up and show you. And you see how it's not settling down, so it's going to show like that for the wing. Isn't that cute? All right, make sure you like this video. Share the video to your personal pages. Share it into other cookie groups if you're allowed to do that. Now, I want mine to really come up off of the flamingo. So do you see how much dimension I've got on that, because my icing is good? If your icing is not standing up like this, just stop, scrape this off, put this icing and this icing back into a bowl, and add at least another 2 tablespoons, not scoops, 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar. Thicken it. It needs to be almost to where you can't stir it for this to work and it not to settle down, okay? So now let me show you the other direction. That one was demoed with the thick end of the teardrop towards me. Let me show you what happens if you turn it the other way with the thick end away from you. Starting at the same spot. Do you see that I get a totally different ruffle? Let me lift that up. Can you see? It's very different looking. This is why some of your flowers don't look right, because you should be doing it this way, because what you're saying you want is a delicate edge, but you're turning it the wrong way, and it makes all the difference in the world. Okay? You see? So we're going to do this one anyway, because I'm going to put sugar on this one. So I don't care that it's like that, okay? For this purposes of this demo, it doesn't matter. But for those of you that are asking me, how come you can't get your flowers right? That's how come you're not getting your flowers right. All right. That's worth a $2 donation, right? All the aggravation that's going to save you. I'm just kidding. Just totally kidding. But there are some things I tell you all that it took me hundreds of dollars to learn. And I think, oh, I just saved them so much money. All right. So this is Raspberry by CK. It is different than all the other pinks that I have. So I'm not doing this over my bead tray because I'm not going to use so much sugar that I need to return it back to the container. Okay. But I want sugar on here because it's just cute. How cute is this going to be? It's going to be this darker pink on top of the lighter pink area. And it's going to be sparkly. Okay, and because that's not enough extra, we need to go more extra. Let's go ahead and get some diamond dust or pink Bake-O. Let's do that. But before I do that, this also will save you lots of time. We have a little area of property that we own. So listen, I do feel okay to use as many paper towels as I want because we're always replanting trees. So I don't feel terribly bad about some of the things that I do. I used to until I owned property and I could plant trees. All right. So I'm going to hit both of these with sparkle, right? Because we will have another flower demo. We've done a couple in the old videos, so those are on my YouTube page, but we will be doing flowers because we're going to learn how to make poinsettias for Christmas. That was a big request last year that I didn't have time to get to. So I'm going to spray this now. Then I'm going to go back and do a couple more with nothing on them, right? But you know, if I do all of the nothings and then add this is still going to get on them. So that's why we're doing it in this order. Look at that. Look at, I mean, goodness, it's so pretty, isn't it? I just love it. All right, so that's just a couple pumps of that. So we've got the one with the fine edge with the 104. We have it turned the other way with the 104. By the way, that turning it the wrong way does really cool stuff on ocean cookies. Turning it the way that you're not supposed to do it for flowers looks great on underwater, like coral and things like that. Just a little tip for something else later. I'm not saying you can never use it that way. It's just why you're not getting the crisp edge that you guys are always asking about. All right, so let's go at this again. We're going to do a couple plain ones. Now, I'm going to try something because I want you to see the difference tonight when we peel this off. I'm just going to do one row of ruffles so you can see what that looks like on a finished cookie versus doing the two. I like the extra, so I really like the two, but some of you are going to want the one because you're going to have people that are like, I don't want a whole bunch of extra icing, right? They're always worried. I put a little bit of corn syrup in my icing, so I don't have that complaint. But I know other people in other areas, maybe you can't do that because of your humidity or whatever. So, and I'm also going to do one backwards. I want you to see what it looks like if you come this way. See what happens? That's more like a swan wing. Can you see that? Let me lift that up. But that was a trick I learned piping chocolate. Can you see how I did it backwards so it almost looks like it has a scoop? So that is much more like what a swan wing looks like. And then if your icing is thick enough, you can actually bring this to a point. Just make sure you get a nice point on it. But that's great for cupcake toppers if you do that in chocolate. As chocolate is setting up, let me just pipe a few more of these in case something breaks. I like to have extra. I like extra. And did you see, I don't know if you noticed or not, let me come up a little bit. I actually did 5 and then 3. You do whatever you're comfortable with, but you know that I like to work in the odd numbers, right? So we're going to do 5. I'm getting it all the way to the point and then pulling it back. So that'll be tucked under so I don't have to pick my scribe up. 2, 3, pull it back. Okay. Now I'm going to hold this up so you can see it, and I won't peel them off until tonight, until we come back at 7. So there's our first one. This one is our first one. Then we did some of the raspberry sugar. Both of these have the diamond dust on them, but you can use the Bake-O. Then this is plain, nothing on it, no sugar, no sparkle. This is done coming the opposite direction, coming towards you, not away from you, to make that swan wing. This is really good if you have to do tiaras or crowns, these are really good add-on pieces for those to do them that direction, because then when you put a little bit of gold on them, it highlights them perfectly. All right, and then these are just 2 extras with the double rows, doing 5 and then 3, 5 and then 3. All right, and I'm going to go ahead. No, black's too thin, so I got to thicken the black up if I want to do a thicker wing for the toucan tonight. But that will be our flamingo video for this morning. Tonight at 7, if you'll join me back here again, we're going to assemble the flamingos, take these off, and then we're going to work on the toucan and possibly the pineapple. I may save the pineapple for next week. I may just push our schedule back 1 week since I couldn't get on last night, but definitely, actually, let's just say that don't have any pineapples ready for tonight. Tonight, we're going to put our flamingos together and we're going to finish our toucan tonight. And then if we get to it, we'll do a palm tree just because I already have everything mixed up for that. That way you can see it in case you need to get to work on some cookies for the next few weekends. Because for me, luau Hawaiian theme is always super popular the second half of July into when school starts back at the end of August. So this is the time frame where these should come in real handy for you. Okay, guys, it was great to see you again today. Jen, thank you so much for your help. Thank you, everyone that visited with me. And I will see you later tonight. Bye, guys. Have a great afternoon.